Hello and welcome to the Books Crypto Club weekly catch-up on Zoom. It is Sunday, the 31st of July, 2022. And as always, we're going to be talking about whatever people want to talk about. So if you're interested in cryptocurrencies, DeFis, NFTs, ICOs, STOs, TGEs, or any other three-letter acronym in this crazy crypto world, stick around and see what we end up talking about. The sessions are open to everybody, novice and expert alike. So do come along. There's a link in the comments below where you can register. We meet every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK BST at the moment, well, still summer. And we have people who are novices who are just learning and want to come along and ask questions. And we also have experts who are working on projects or developments who've been in this field for a number of years and like to share their knowledge, their expertise and their enthusiasm as well. So check the group out, come along and join, do subscribe, do click on the like, do make comments. Most of all, come and participate and hope you enjoy it. So let's see who's going to come and join us today. Hey, Mac, how's it going?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. You're back again for another exciting week of crypto and blockchain and DeFi and Web3.
Yes, absolutely. I had a couple of questions, so I thought I could ask an expert for opinions.
Okay.
Next week, I'm actually participating in a hackathon, a state-sponsored hackathon. So I got a couple of themes, and I thought, so actually a lot of themes are there, but two themes I couldn't get. So I just wanted to get examples from you.
Okay. So where's the hackathon being held?
It's in Bangalore. Bangalore, yeah. I think you should have come to Bangalore at least once.
Bangalore, okay, yeah. I took place in a hackathon in Mumbai a couple of years ago. That was great fun. It was really great with teams flying in from all around India. In fact, so that was really good. So yeah, so go on, ask away. How can we answer your question?
So there is one thing called how can we implement blockchain when it comes to mass mobility as a service. So this was one of the themes they shared, and they are basically saying how to use blockchain for data exchange and revenue sharing among multiple transportation operators. So this is what they are basically saying. Yeah. So I couldn't sort of get what they're trying to tell. So if you can, from your experience, share any insights regarding that mass mobility as a service.
Sure. So this is about using a blockchain platform for some sort of transport ticketing, but having the ability to actually share out the revenue. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just let Peter in, and then we can cover that. So certainly, I've seen a number of projects where they're looking at using blockchain for ticketing in general. So you can use the blockchain to check the authenticity of the ticket. You can prove its provenance, its origination. If the ticket is issued through a token, so not necessarily an NFT, but certainly I've seen it done with some smart contracts which create a token, like in an ERC20 on Ethereum, for example. You can do revenue share in it, where you can do a breakdown where if there are multiple parties, then you can set it so that if the ticket is sold, then the revenue is automatically distributed amongst the participants. And then the results of that is stored on the blockchain. So what this means is that you've got a controlled way of doing revenue distribution, which is transparent and is visible to everybody. So everyone can see, well, you know, this organization got 100 rupees, this organization got 200 rupees and so on. So, yeah. Hey, Sue joined by Peter. Hi, Peter.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. So we're just talking through a use case around using blockchain for transportation. So things like ticketing and revenue distribution. And I was just sharing with Mac a couple of ideas around how you can record the ownership of the ticket on the blockchain, manage it through smart contracts, so it does the automatic revenue generation, or sorry, the revenue distribution. So So
Any
how you,
examples can you give me, Gary? Like any previous projects have you come across where they implemented transportation sector?
yeah, it's not transport, but if you look at the music business, there is because you look at the music business about how a group of musicians produce a piece of music, and then they sell that on, and it gets broadcast on radio or internet and whatever. And there was a musician called Imogen Heap, and Imogen was involved in a project a few years ago. I don't know what's happening with it now, which was to do with revenue distribution. So that kind of ties in with what you were talking about automatically splitting payments out, that kind of thing. So it could be worthwhile checking out. If you just do Imogen Heap blockchain music on a search engine, then that might give you some examples. She was working on a project which was either UK or European based a few years ago. The name of which escapes me. I think it begins with the letter M though, but I can't remember beyond that. And there are also companies who are looking at doing ticketing for events. I know a couple of companies that they've not gone public on it yet, where they're doing ticketing for like rock concerts or music concerts with automatic revenue share, and they're doing it for kind of like a VIP ticket or a membership ticket, where if you buy the ticket for the event through a token, then you get additional benefits and that kind of thing. So
sure, I'll take that up. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that offers a couple of ideas.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any more questions on that as a use case? It's quite a good one.
Just one more.
Yeah.
So it's about agriculture.
Agriculture, yeah.
Basically supply chain. The supply chain plus agriculture. But they told we want to focus more on agriculture rather than generally focusing on supply chain. So anything that we can do with a blockchain that can improve agriculture. So basically, India's backbone is agriculture. So if you can do anything with blockchain in agriculture sector, what can be? Yeah.
So another great one to check out is a project called AgriLedger. So AGRI as in agriculture, and ledger as in blockchain and that. AgriLedger. Genevieve Levine, I think it is. I always pronounce her name wrong, and I'm so sorry. I've got one of these mental blocks. I can never pronounce her name right. She's the founder, I think it was, of AgriLedger, and they are doing crop-related things on blockchain. So they were starting off with, I think it was mangoes out of Haiti.
They are based out of Haiti.
Yeah, I think so. So she, if I remember correctly, Genevieve is originally from Haiti, and she's done some work around a blockchain provenance tracing for smallholders producing, I think it was going to be mangoes initially. And that involved doing things like ensuring that everyone in the supply chain could check the provenance of the product, but also to make sure they got paid, which is the other important thing. So AgriLedger is definitely worthwhile checking out. That's a great one on agriculture. And then there are things like crop insurance. So in Sri Lanka, there was a project that was done with smallholders in Sri Lanka to do with if the weather damaged their crops. And so there is a company called Ether Risk. So Ether as in Ethereum, ISC, and Ether Risk did a crop protection project, which I think is still live in Sri Lanka. So kind of down the coast from you, which is doing crop protection for smallholders. And I think there was another smallholder project going on in Sri Lanka. I can't remember who's running that. So that's another one maybe.
Okay, and do you think integrating IoT with blockchain when it comes to agriculture is more efficient, or without IoT is more efficient when it comes to agriculture sector?
So it depends what you mean by IoT. So in terms of tagging products, there's always going to be a problem with tagging physical products. Whereas it's easier once the product is packed in some way, then you can always tag the box and trace it. But there was a project called Fur Trade or Fur Food. So if you Google Walmart and blockchain, and Walmart being a global retail company, and they developed a project to track and trace what they call green products. So basically vegetables, and they track it from, they call it, I think it's from farm to shelf, and the eventual aim is farm to fork. So you should be able to track where the products come on from a farm and who's been paid and everything. So Walmart did that, and I think it's called Fur Trade or We Trade or something. We Trade's a different one. We Trade's a blockchain product that IBM was supporting, which is also worth checking out. Which again was to do with product supply using IoT. So they were using IoT as a tag. So I don't know if they were using like RFID tags or NFC chips or something, but they were certainly tracking and tracing the products. And then the other one on supply chain, there's two others that spring to mind. One is called Everledger. And
I heard about
and Everledger is well known for doing diamond provenance. They've done diamond provenance, but they were extending that out into the provenance of fine art, wine, motor vehicles, and I think possibly some agriculture things. Well, I'm not sure where that got to. And then there's another company which is in the UK, which is called provenance.org. And they were using blockchain, and they don't make a big deal of this, but they use it to track and trace, I think it's high value fashion, so things like leather handbags, but they were also doing it to track, I think it was fish stocks, so that they were using it to actually track, I don't know if it was tuna or cod or something, but that's provenance.org. Who it's a great project because they talk about provenance of products, so like coming from farms. They don't really talk about blockchain, which is brilliant, because you shouldn't need to talk about the technology that delivers this kind of stuff. So there's a couple more to look into. So maybe that gives you some thoughts and some ideas of things to look at for now. I was just going to ask Pete. I was just going to ask Peter. Peter, hey there, you've come in with trying to I can't quite read the name it's got against it. Arrow.
Yeah.
Is that your latest project?
Well, that's our company.
Ah, okay. So I know that you do all the stuff around tracking the metadata around crypto transactions and that. I didn't realize it was called Arrow. So cool. That's why I didn't quite recognize it.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a main thing, but it's part of what we do in terms of asset management, but help us to kind of position ourselves.
Okay. So what's happening in the crypto space then, Peter? Anything of interest?
I mean, I haven't had time to look much this week on the latest rally.
Okay.
I mean, from what I know, it's not necessarily the strongest rally, so don't expect it to kind of last too long.
Okay.
But look, we're going to have an article coming out hopefully next week, looking into where we are on the crypto market cycle. And yeah, most of the data suggests that we're at or near the bottom. Okay.
Well, that's a lot more positive than what I've heard for a while off most people. That's good to hear. If I just pull the take a look at the latest data at the moment. Let's see if I can share the screen in a minute. Yeah, because Bitcoin is, or certainly Bitcoin in particular, has had something of a rally. If we take a look at the dailies, it's where it dropped down to about 17.6 last month, and it's gradually been just channeling. But certainly in the last few days, you're right, it's gone up from like 20 to 24, I think it was, which was quite nice to see. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it holds out from that. So you think we may have hit the bottom then?
I mean, 17.6 may be the bottom, but there may be something lurking in the background that could drag the market down lower. But
Okay.
it's possible that 17.6 was the bottom. But
okay.
We don't expect a quick recovery. There's often kind of a relief rally after the bottom gets put in, and then there's a then it seeps back down, where you get a kind of the capitulation works its way through the system,
Okay.
but doesn't generally go as low as the initial crash, and then it gradually starts to go back up again.
Oh, that's encouraging, because I've been saying, I think since the beginning of July, or certainly a couple of weeks ago, about how it was broadly channeling in the 20 to 21 range, but it's suddenly taken this leap. I mean, it went up, was it the 27th? So 4 days ago, it had this sudden leap from 21 up to 23 near enough, and then it seemed to have another mini rally. So yeah, that's encouraging news. So good to hear. Thanks, Peter.
I mean, this current upward trend, there's a fair chance it will break down and we'll kind of test below 20s again.
Okay.
I mean, there has been a fair bit of capitulation at the bottom, which is what's needed in order to put in the bottom, but it is rather kind of a short period, or shorter than one would expect, for it to kind of be coming out and for it to have a sustained, well, for the bull market to be starting again, it will be quicker than one would expect. Okay.
Because I noticed today it's had something of a lively activity going up from 23.7 to 24. So it's like $300 in a matter of hours. Yeah. In fact, we'll take a look at
these vertical jumps. They're often more to do with futures pushing around the market as opposed to more sustainable kind of buying on the spot markets.
Okay.
What you want is more of a gradual uptrend as opposed to these jumps up and jumps down.
Yeah, because I presume they were trigger points or something of some big buys or some sells or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's often to do with kind of futures markets, but then it's just trigger points as well.
Okay.
But when you, I mean, as sure you know, you want higher highs, higher lows, and a slow upward trend without too much of this jumping around.
Yeah, yeah. And this was the interesting thing. What happened just before we started, in fact, was, you know, it was kind of like it was just meandering around the 23.7 mark, and then we suddenly had this thing where you got two spikes from 23.7 up to 24, and then another leap up to 24.1. It's interesting looking at the candle of the next period now, whether that's going to engulf that. That's looking quite encouraging, actually, that it stayed pretty much within that last candle. So we'll see where that goes. But who knows? You know, it might just be like a fool's rally type thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chances is of a bull trap. I mean, I'm not kind of been looking at this too deeply, but I've heard that it's not the most substantially based yet, or as of yet anyway.
Okay.
And it's to some extent being pushed by the kind of traditional equity markets, which isn't a sustainable value if it's being pushed by correlations with traditional equity markets through essentially macro traders trading the futures.
Okay.
If that's what's driving the market, which is a fair chance it is part of it, then it won't be sustained.
Right. I guess the thing to watch for initially, I'm just looking at the resistance holding at 24 at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes now. I just wanted to bring it, and I noticed we've been joined by Andy Demetrio. Hey, Andy.
Hey, man, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can indeed.
Finally, I've joined you. What's going on, man?
Hey, good of you to come and join. We've just been chatting about the crypto market at the moment, and the activity in the last, well, 30 minutes to an hour, really, with Bitcoin in particular. It's kind of exploded a little bit. I don't know where your interest lies, Andy.
That's a good question, man. That's a good question. I'm learning at the moment, so I'm just kind of learning the market, trying to understand it. I'm not a trader by any standard, so I don't follow the charts too much. I like to build projects, so that's kind of what I'm involved in. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us more what you're building at the moment. Can you share with us?
Sure. Yeah, sure. It's naturally it's a blockchain built app that tracks your walking, your step count, and your sleep and activity. So it rewards its users for doing that. So it's a bit like Step N or Walk Z, Step. So there's a lot of these play to earn, do to earn, X to earn type things in the GameFi market. So we're doing a sort of health to earn in the GameFi market. So
how does that compare to Sweatcoin then?
Yeah, I mean, that could be an example. Sure, I haven't heard of that, but that could be Sweatcoin or Sweatcoin. What did you say? Sweatcoin.
Sweat, as in
Sweatcoin. Yeah,
as in perspiration from exercising. Yeah, I think that was one that.
Sweatcoin's a great example of that. Like, I remember they've recently announced that they're going to be going onto the blockchain. They're going to be a blockchain. They're going to be taking that software and moving it into blockchain, which is quite interesting.
Okay.
Because before you could just use their local currency to trade for things like hats and scarves and whatever, towels.
Okay.
So apparently they're going onto the blockchain. So that's cool.
Brilliant. Okay. Are you allowed to share the project name that you're working on, or is it?
Of course, no problem. Heart rate. Yeah, it's heart rate. Heart rate, like heart as in rate and rate. Yeah, very simple. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a simple concept. We've gone through the seeding stage quite well.
Okay.
So that went quite smoothly.
A quick shout out then. Do you have a website or anything?
Yes, but I'm actually currently building a new one. So I'm just upgrading the current one. We've got one at the moment, heartrate.games. So, but our Twitter is more where it's at. So if you can check out the Twitter, Heart Rate Games. And yeah, you can see more information there about the project. I don't know if there's a way to share a link on this platform, but...
yeah, we can certainly do that. So it's like the reason I was asking, I'm always keen to promote any projects that are going on. So that's why I was asking if you had a website. So at least
so this is you can see it now. Yeah, this is the website. I'm actually currently going through the process of upgrading it and totally giving it a whole facelift, basically.
Okay.
So this week I've been interviewing web designers. We already have developers. We already have back-end developers. So at the moment we're looking out for very cool web designers who can help us with the website. Okay.
Well, if anyone's watching this afterwards, because what I find, it's surprising how many people get in touch with me after these meetings. They say, I never get to watch you. I never get to come to your meeting, but I always watch the video afterwards. Yeah. So, maybe we can do a shout out of if anyone's a web designer or something, then
absolutely gain contact.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you based, Andy?
I'm based in London.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm based in London at the moment. So I'm working.
So the center of the universe, as far as crypto and blockchain is based.
That's what a lot of people think, but I mean, I just came back from Shenzhen in China.
Yeah.
And they're nuts. They're nuts in crypto at the moment. They love it. And they're doing so much about it. All over the world, people are going absolutely nuts. I mean, London maybe has the potential to become a hub for crypto, but I don't think it currently is one at the moment. Yeah. I think other cities are just doing way more.
I think that's fair. And when you take a look at, you've got things like Malta with Blockchain Island.
Yeah.
You've got Gibraltar, tried to make a big play a while ago. Zurich, not Zurich, Zug in Switzerland with their crypto type community there. So yeah, you're right. And if you go to like Singapore's loads of stuff. South Korea.
Yeah, Asia.
So-
I mean, the Asian market is massive, and there's so many. And what's interesting is how many users they have involved. They just have such a massive amount of a user base. In the UK and London, people, I find, especially in London, well, you get people who are they know, but a lot of people are quite skeptical here. They're used to the old-fashioned systems, and they like the old-fashioned systems. They like it, you know. They like the Web2 world.
So you're talking about the heart rate Twitter. What's the Twitter handle then?
Heart rate _game. Heart rate _game.
So we've got the heart rate official. So bear with me. I'll just
That's the one.
I'll pull that one up as well, so people can see that.
We have an AMA on Monday, so we have an AMA tomorrow.
Okay.
With one of our
Okay.
Yeah,
What time's that on, Andy?
That's going to be tomorrow, 1 p.m. London time. So UTC, 12, I think it is. So I don't know. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's 1 p.m. UK BST, which is an hour ahead of UTC. So for people doing the conversion, because it's complete pain.
I might be wrong. It might be 2 o'clock, but I'm not 100% sure. But all the information's on the Twitter. Not sure. Yeah, but yeah.
So I guess the thing is, people who want to know more, check out heart rate _ on Twitter. And as you say, there's some good details in there. And as it says, see tomorrow at 2 p.m. in fact.
2 p.m. My bad. Sorry, it's registering your local time, so you must be in the UK as well. So it's tomorrow, 2 p.m. London time or UK time.
Oh, excellent. So that's a good use of a Twitter space. Hope that goes well, because
thank you.
They're often a little bit variable, but that's good. So great, and a nice shout out for you anyway, Andy. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I mean, we also have a Discord, so we kind of do Discord talks as well and community calls. And I think this is a very common practice, especially in the Asian communities. There's a massive pressure to do these sort of things.
Yep, that's good. So I was just going to say as well, I just saw we've got someone called Jay who's joined. Do you want to say hello, Jay?
Hello.
Hey, Jay. Hi there.
And I was just letting you speak, and I was engaged with what Andy was saying. So
not a problem. I try to say hello to people as I see them join, and sometimes people join and they're ages because we're busy chatting about something. I want to make sure people feel included. So that's good.
I appreciate that.
No problem. What brings you along today then? The mysterious...
just to see what there was, what the chat was, what people were bringing to the meeting, and I never know when I'm going to get a little bit of inspiration from somewhere. So especially in this space, which is moving rapidly. Every day. So.
Well, I was going to say that's part of the reason I run this and host it, because I find I end up listening to people who come along. And it's like Andy was just talking about heart rate in his project. And you get people who talk about different projects, and it's mind-blowing what is going on. And it's impossible to keep up with everything. But it's great just to have a session where people can go into things in a little bit more detail, and you can question them and that. So.
What I would maybe like to, I mean, a big thing for me is always with regards to evolving, expanding finances. So any DeFi minting or any sort of projects that people might like to propose, or that they know about, they know the developers, I'm talking about reputable platforms that are minting coins, etc. And I'm all ears to any opportunities or any suggestions from anyone here.
Okay. So it's open to everyone on that, really, because there is so much going on in this space. There are companies who are creating their own tokens, so their own crypto tokens. There were some, I was involved in a project a while ago that was actually set up as almost like a token factory, whereby they had the ability to create crypto tokens for companies who wanted to use them for things like loyalty card schemes and that kind of thing. But I guess for the kind of stuff you're thinking of, it's more in terms of, you think in terms of like investment opportunities, that kind of thing?
Yeah, but however, these platforms don't use the word investment, you know?
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, so basically just expanding my my assets, that's all. Yeah, place to put some money instead of the normal investment products that are out there. But yeah, I've dipped my toe in a few platforms, but it's changing all the time, and it's all about who the developers are. That I have a quite strong focus now about what it is I would get myself involved with. So yeah, fire away, whoever has anything that their friend's been knocking on their head for weeks, or they know, just like Andy's developing this heart rate platform. The most unlikely places and people are doing something. I find that so much.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem, that there's so much going on, you can't figure out which is the reputable one and which is the credible one.
Sure, but just developers with a bit of history and a reputation. They have a transparency in their career already.
Yeah. So
yeah, there's some telltale signs, and and there's also an element of risk. You can't get away from that, but you just try to minimize that.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you based?
London.
London. Okay. So the obvious one is used to be a great community with the Ethereum London community.
Yeah, it's funny that I used to meet up with them when Bitcoin was £700.
Yep.
And yeah, so yeah, they're good. I don't know if it's the same guys involved. I might be wrong.
I think it is, because I've not been for a while, certainly post-COVID, but I'm pretty sure it's still some of the familiar names that I recognize from the days where I think I probably joined when Bitcoin was around about $1,000 mark. So it can't have been much after where you got interested.
Sure.
But certainly in the days when I remember Vitalik coming along. In fact, I think I've seen him at 2 Ethereum London events. So fairly early days, but there's a great Ethereum community and they all know each other. That's always a good way of verifying the credibility and authenticity of people. And there's big communities in Cardano and Solana or ADA. They seem to be growing, but not so much in the UK. I think that, the Cardano community is very much global, with Charles being wherever he is at these days, whether it's States or Australia or whatever. Yeah, so I'll open it up. I don't know if anyone else has got any other projects or ideas or communities or anything they'd recommend. We quite often have someone who joins us, JT, who, like me, has his finger in many pies, and is usually quite a good one of pointing out interesting projects. He was, I think he pointed out World Mobile Token before it became well known, and that turned out to be quite an interesting one. I don't know if you follow World Mobile, and no. they've got a token which is WMT, which I think was done through an ICO, and that's all about opening up mobile telephony, particularly in Africa, so that they're doing stuff like, I think they're running a project in, is it Tanzania and Zanzibar, if I remember correctly, where they're actually setting up aerials, antennas, or I never remember the right term for them, but also static balloons, which allow you to broadcast a signal over a wide area. So they're using that to deploy mobile telephony in parts of Africa that couldn't previously get it. And they're linking that in with a crypto token, which allows you to pay for the services and that kind of thing. So World Mobile Token is one of the ones that I think JT mentioned on here a good while ago before it became popular. That's certainly one worthwhile checking out, which is fairly well established now. I don't know for anyone else who's on the call, any projects, anything that's catching people's attention, or are you all just watching and listening?
Actually, I'm part of a project which is exactly similar to what Peter is doing. I mean, Andy or Peter. So it's just instead of walking and doing exercise, it's laugh. So every day you need to laugh 3 times or something like that, and you get a reward for that. It's called Laughing. So I just came across that project. I was very close with the person who worked on the project. But yeah, a lot of projects like this are coming.
Sorry, Mac. It's called Laughing. Did you say?
Just like Stephen, it's called Laughing. That's it.
Okay.
So it's still in development. They have no social handles or website, but these guys are developing. I'm the one who wrote the smart contract for that project.
Okay, and the idea is that if you laugh 3 times a day, what does that generate tokens? Is it kind of a play to earn type thing, or a laugh?
Yeah, exactly. It's a P2E. So every day you need to laugh 3 times it seems, and once you do that, you get a reward. There's a reward token for that.
Wow.
And they have separate protocol, so you just get rewards. That's it.
So that sounds different. Do they have a website or anything? Do you know?
No, not yet. They are still in development. I think August 12th is when they are launching the product.
Okay, so August the 12th, watch out for a laughing token.
Yeah.
That sounds different. So there you go, Jay. There's something to watch out for there. But it sounds like nobody's got any other recommendations at the moment. But then sometimes people who come onto these sessions, some of them are interested in like blockchain and distributed ledger technology. Some are into cryptocurrencies. Some are into crypto tokens. Some are into the whole funding. So it used to be called ICOs and STOs and TGEs. That's typically where you hear about the new projects that are coming up these days. Is you hear someone who says, oh, I'm doing a TGE, so a token generating event. They tend to be the ones, but I haven't heard that many of late, to be honest. I mean, turning it around, are there any that you are looking at that you think are interesting at the moment?
I mean,
oh, sorry,
yeah, on
Andy.
you go, Andy. Andy, on you go.
no, it's okay. You're welcome to go for it.
No, I would. I have to be clear here as well. I would never recommend any of these things to anyone else.
Yeah.
It's purely I take responsibility for what I get involved in, and I know everyone does that I know everyone does that caveat, but really they're just saying it. But I actually literally do not tell anyone I know what it is I'm doing financially. I just don't. I don't want a conversation. They don't understand things. I'm not there to convert anyone's thinking.
100%. That's exactly what I was going to say, man. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was just going to turn around and be like, look, I don't know anything about this whole financial stuff. All I know are video games, because I work in gaming, and all I can say is about games that I'm looking forward to.
So
games in the space.
For example, have you heard about Piston?
Piston? No, I haven't heard of it.
So that's like a minting platform, but there's all based on racing cars.
So I see that.
Yeah, there's just so much out there. And it's like Gary was saying, it's how do you choose? However, you have to just kind of filter out in your own head. That's why I could not tell you or Gary or Mac or Peter, what is a good thing, because it's all a personal preference. What you want. I'm not really looking to get involved in any games. So there's lots of platforms there where you play to earn. I'm not really looking for that. I just want to. I want to just mint, and collect some daily extra. So yeah.
So don't worry. Exactly. I always say, a few things in this whole space. First of all, anything on any of these conversations is not financial, legal, or taxation advice. So it's never recommendations. but there's never a problem with people making people aware of projects, and then they can go and do their own research, because that's sometimes the thing. First of all, if you hear of something and it's of interest, it's up to the person to then do their own research to make sure it's legit. So we don't do recommendations. Completely agree with that. We do cautionary tales. So if anyone's heard anything of, well, you might want to watch out because I've heard about blah, 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 as long as it can be verified, that can be a useful thing. So if you look at the things that have happened recently with things like 3 Arrows Capital, Celsius, and a number of other funds that have collapsed or whatever, it can be quite useful if people hear about that. But yeah, completely, Gary, it's never about recommending, it's about increasing awareness.
And even what you're saying about, like a gentle cautionary tale, like just put it your way, I heard that, or I saw this. Even that, Gary, is something recently actually that's came up for me. You've got people bad-mouthing different projects, and there's nothing wrong with the project. It's almost like the biggest minefield I've not even imagined that in my life at all, but it's the biggest minefield out there, more so almost than just the high street investments.
So that's where I'm fortunate that I've got editorial control over this session. So it has happened before now where we've not had people bad-mouthing projects, but we have had a few people who've become a little bit disruptive about space. And I've got the ability to throw them out the group, which is one thing. And I also don't include the comments in the video that gets distributed, gets published later on. That's not right, because I don't want to expose myself to the risk of being seen as a financial advisor, because I'm not. And I also don't want to be seen as somebody who is propagating untruths in any way, because at best, I don't think that's very fair or very kind. And at worst, that results in litigation that I don't fancy defending against. So yeah, completely on that. So I'm always careful that if I hear anyone saying anything, we will caveat it in some way. And I always ask for people in anything I do in life that if you're going to say something, then please provide the evidence to support it in some way. So yeah, that's fine on that. So with all of that in mind, certainly the play to earn space. So I was going to go back on to Peter then maybe. Sorry, on to Andy, sorry, around the whole play to earn and that, because the whole gamification, play to earn, metaverse, this is all beginning to blend into each other, isn't it?
I mean, you know how these things go. There's a bunch of like, what do they call it? Like keywords, that people like. I don't know there's a word, the terminology, but there's all like keywords in industry. Yeah, bullshit, basically. I mean, I'm not really, I'm not into this personally. It's just personal preference. I mean, a lot of people are, and they see benefit in it. But for me, like this whole metaverse concepts, I don't really fully understand it personally enough. I don't understand it. Like, it's a very outlandish concept. But I think I like video games, and I think that video games have always had their own tokenomics. Back in the day. I mean, it's always been like that. Any sort of game that you've played which involves sort of in-the-game currency, I think the ability to take that in-game currency and manifest it into reality is quite an interesting concept. And I think there's loads of variations that you can do that. A lot of people play football games online, and, what if you could actually, using NFTs as a system, as a way to actually own something for real and not just have a copy of something.
Well, this is kind of where we're seeing that already, aren't we? So, as you say, if you go back to video games, Second Life with Linden Coin was probably one of the original what we've now described as a metaverse, with its own cryptocurrency. So Linden Coin allowed you to buy and sell, funnily enough, land. So it's a bit like the metaverse.
And property.
Exactly that. So it was kind of ahead of its time. Then if you look at things like the Roblox platform, with all the games where you can buy things with Robux, and you can buy avatars, you can buy weapons, you can buy all sorts of things. And then you look at things like, is it Epic Games, an engine? I think they're quite big in the space now of developing
Unreal Engine.
token stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5. Exactly. I mean, the whole space is like gaming in the last 20 years in my lifetime. I'm not 20 years old. I'm just saying in the last 20 years of my lifetime, I've just seen it gone from something pretty niche, something that was kind of existed. It was a very niche sort of thing. There was only specific people that were into arcade gaming, and there was only specific people that were into Nintendo gaming, and then that kind of blew up. And now a lot of people do have PlayStations and Xboxes in their homes. It's become this part of people's lives, and same as PC gaming has grown over the years. I've always been fascinated by it. So as soon as I kind of got involved in play to earn, it kind of changed my perspective on what I wanted to do in the space, because there is so much like opportunity in that. I mean, people love that, especially around the world. People love the idea of just doing something, playing a game, and then earning while doing that.
Well, you look at how well Axie Infinity's done.
Yeah.
And that starts linking in with what you were saying about NFTs and that as well.
Yeah.
I think they've been doing some work with some sports clubs, something a while ago. I think it was Axie.
Yeah.
And certainly you're seeing a growth in the NFT space around sporting collectibles. And you can see a kind of emerging and blending between real life sports clubs and collectibles merging into the gaming community. And I think that's where NFTs kind of cross the divide. And then I think if you draw a big circle around all of that, then that's the metaverse, or it's a metaverse type thing, which is where, as you say, in some ways, the term metaverse is a bit of marketing BS, but it does allow you to kind of encapsulate NFTs, third life or second life games, play to earn, and all that kind of space. I started mapping out what we mean by the metaverse recently.
Yeah.
And, I did a mind map on it, and it just grew and grew and grew. But when you start looking at, all the games that you could consider within it, and then, as you say, you've got not only devices like Xbox and PCs, but you've got like Oculus headsets, so VR and all this stuff. And one of the companies I was speaking to recently had done a beautiful blend between an NFT-enabled VR experience, where you were playing games or going to events, where you paid for the event with an NFT, so as a token in some way, where it showed you as a member, which allowed you to have additional either powers or facilities, all done in VR. And it's like, wow, my head hurts. I'm from the Space Invaders era.
Yeah,
so.
I get you. That's it. But the thing is, I've got young children in my family, 7, 8-year-olds, and they're already super familiar with gadgets and technology. They're already familiar with the iPad and gaming, and they're already familiar with these things. And whether we like it or not, we're kind of we are being more and more surrounded by technology. And I think with blockchain, it kind of helps us in terms of privacy on our online presence. There are benefits. I mean, it's not there yet. It's not perfect, but there are definitely benefits for having encrypted and decentralized things that can kind of protect us in our digital world that we're in. And I think there's a lot of, like you said, we are flooded with so many different projects, but personally, I think that's a good thing. It's like competition. It's like healthy competition. Competition in the market makes things better. And if one person, is competing with that, can make them better. We have that in general businesses. We have that between the Apples and the Samsungs, and there's always there's competition in the higher levels, and there's competition at lower levels. So there's a lot going on. But whoever survives the bear markets are the ones that are like, that's a decent project.
Well, that's where something I keep stressing with some of the companies I'm doing work with is that, people are talking about bear markets, they're talking about crypto winters, all this kind of thing. Yeah. Well, actually, if you've got a viable project, then it doesn't matter what the price of Bitcoin or Ethereum is.
So true. So true.
And I keep stressing about how, if you look at, we go back to, say, 2010, when Bitcoin was just kicking in really, and Bitcoin allowed you to do peer-to-peer payments, and that was it. And then in
Right.
2014, you've got Ethereum arrived. And then I think by 2015, they'd introduced smart contracts that allowed you to program the stuff, which was a massive step change. If you look at the evolutions within the crypto and blockchain space and what it allows you to do, it's absolutely amazing, you know, with smart contracts. Then you've got DeFi, interoperability, you know, you look at things like polka dots and interoperability across chains and all this kind of thing. It's amazing the pace of development that's going on, which has got nothing to do whatsoever with how much you buy Bitcoin for.
Exactly. Thank you. Nail on the head. Nail on the head.
Yeah.
I've got friends who are like total pro Bitcoin, bless them. Lovely guys. They're good people, but they're very much like Bitcoin runs the market, the whole crypto space. Like, you know, crypto goes down, everything goes down, everything goes kaput, and Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. And naturally there is some truth to that. I mean, you know, there is some truth to that.
Well, the other thing they don't seem to pick up on, and I might try and bring Peter in because I know he's got loads of expertise in terms of the data behind transactions, and that is that my understanding is that even though the crypto market prices are quite depressed at the moment, I understand that the volumes of transactions continue to grow. Because I was reading a report the other day about merchant payments. So this is companies who handle credit cards and this kind of thing, who are now moving into the crypto space, and they're seeing a big growth in crypto payments. It might not be in Bitcoin. It might be using things like Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash or whatever. But they're seeing the actual volume of transactions increasing, which shows we're getting more adoption. I don't know, Peter, can you offer any insights or thoughts on that?
So yeah, I'm back. I've been busy doing other stuff while listening.
Okay. Sorry, I sometimes throw Peter that when he's not got his camera on, I'll sometimes wait and then I inadvertently call upon his expertise and he's disappeared off or something. No, so we're just talking about the volumes on crypto at the moment. That I'm seeing transactions increasing even though prices are decreasing, and I wondered if you've seen anything yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you measure kind of transactions. So kind of price per block space is kind of depressed at the moment. It's still downward trending, and this is one of the key indicators to look for. Once that starts to turn is kind of when we expect it to start next bull run to kind of start again. So there have been kind of stuff like increasing use of SegWits, better bundling of kind of transactions by exchanges, layer 2s, etc., which again decreases amount of block space. In terms of number of transactions, I can't say for sure, but overall kind of number of non-zero addresses is still kind of steadily increasing upwards, which is obviously a positive. At the moment, general on-chain activities kind of fallen back to its kind of like bear market base, but this is obviously an upward trending base over time as well.
Okay, so that's something at least, and this is going to be one of the problems with things like layer 2 networks. You say like Lightning, that if more transactions are happening across the Lightning network, you don't have the transparency or the visibility to see that they're happening, do you? So it could be that there are massive transactions going on in crypto, but nothing is actually getting committed to the blockchain, so you don't really know about it.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how exactly these transactions are done, whether they're done in a transparent way on a side chain or kind of whether they're done in an untransparent way. Well, when the key thing is when there's a dispute, it gets thrown back to the blockchain, and then everyone has to kind of pay the fees. Blockchain will kind of, or the main blockchain will essentially be the arbiter, and everyone has to pay the fees as a punishment for having the dispute.
Right, it's an interesting way of describing it.
Otherwise, people have an incentive to just try their luck if there isn't a penalty.
Okay, I hadn't actually thought of it that way. I just thought of it in terms of transaction finality. That it's a way of kind of drawing a line and saying, well, we've done enough business now. I hadn't thought of it in terms of being a dispute resolution mechanism.
Yeah. well, technically, like a kind of layer 2 to some extent is a less secure way of doing it, but as a trade-off, you get more throughput and much cheaper. And for smaller transactions, you don't need everything to be kind of highly secure.
Fair enough.
And the penalty of having things thrown back to the main chain should be enough to kind of generally keep people honest.
That's a good way of acting as an arbitration thing, isn't it? Of, well, we can send this. It's a bit like in the real financial services world, isn't it? That you try and avoid going to lawyers because all that happens is it gets very expensive, and the lawyers make lots of money. So, okay, an interesting perspective. Folks, just in the last few minutes then, we've only got 3 minutes. I just wanted to open it up, see if anyone's got any closing questions or thoughts or comments or anything really that we can help with.
No, I just want to say thank you. Thanks for today, Gary. It's awesome.
No problem. Each of these sessions, Peter and Mac have both been to a number of these, so they'll be fully aware, but each of these take on their own dynamic each week. It really depends upon who comes along. Sometimes, the focus might be on the crypto market if we've got people who are interested in that. Sometimes it might be, Mac was asking at the beginning of this session about blockchain use cases, particularly around things like transportation and supply chain, that kind of thing. Sometimes we talk about particular projects, like you've had the opportunity to with Heartbeat. We get people to talk about what they're working on, that kind of thing. So yeah, very variable, but you're always welcome to come along, join in, ask questions, contribute ideas, knowledge, anything to do with your project. It's worth sharing, then please do.
Thank you so much. Thanks for today, guys. I'm going to duck out now. Nice to meet you all. Take care, Mac and Peter. All the best.
Well, we'll close it off there then, Peter and Mac as well. So thanks a lot for coming. Hope that, as always, it was worthwhile coming along for. For those who are watching it on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, click like, make comments. Even better, come along to a meeting in future. Otherwise, have a great day, everybody. Cheers now.
See ya. Bye.
Bye now.